Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I've made this video with the 9 most important things for you to do as soon as you land in Australia for your working holiday visa. Please stay connected, and if you've got any questions, you just access the links that I will include down below on the description, or you can just drop me a comment and I'll try to reply as soon as I can. Your first priority should be internet access and communication in general if you want to survive your first hectic days in Australia. Every international airport in Australia has a phone booth selling SIM cards or just any sort of phone provider where you can buy them. You might not have the best deals there, but you can always start with a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and then once you're traveling and you find a better deal down the track, you just buy a new one, keeping the same number. Make sure your phone is unlocked before you arrive so that you can use any SIM card with it. The most popular providers are Vodafone, Optus, Telstra, but there are dozens of other providers you can choose from. So my recommendation is that you buy it at the airport as soon as you land. By the time you arrive in Australia, you should have already booked your first accommodation, whether it's a hotel or a hostel for backpackers or just an Airbnb, it doesn't matter. You must book it in advance because in Australia things get fully booked quite easily, especially during the summer season over here, and you don't want to be living in the streets or just unable to go to the place you want to go because it's fully booked or just too overpriced. So make sure you book it in advance to save yourself some cash as well. Make sure you book at least a week or two so that you can recover from your jet lag, depending where you're coming from, of course. To get yourself familiar with the city you chose and Australia in general, like going to the supermarkets and exploring all the different shops. Make friends in the hostel or a hotel or wherever you're staying, or just simply going partying. And most importantly, to do the things that are strictly mandatory if you want to get a job and travel around Australia. And that starts with point number 3. To get a job in Australia, you need to open a bank account with one of the main banks of Australia. I am with ANZ and they have been brilliant. I use their smartphone app and I'm able to check all my accounts, even my savings accounts. But I would say that the most popular bank in Australia is the Commonwealth Bank, particularly with British people. Perhaps because of the name, I don't know. But whatever bank you choose, all of them offer accounts specific for backpackers. But to be honest, any kind of current account will do. I'd say the process of opening a bank account in Australia, it's easier done face-to-face. And like in any other country, you'll find the branches of these banks in all parts of Australia. You can apply for your tax file number online and only when you are currently in Australia. You will need this tax file number, or TFN for short, to work legally in the country. And once it has been issued to you, it will be yours for life. It will never change. It's super easy to complete the application online and you'll receive a letter by post with your TFN. As you can see, this is one of the reasons you should stay in your first accommodation for at least the first 7 to 14 days so that you can receive this letter with your TFN. Now, do you need a TFN before getting a job? Not really. You can start working before receiving your TFN, but your employer will put you on a temporary tax code, which means you'll be paying higher taxes until you provide them with your TFN. A superannuation account is the Australian version of a pension fund for your retirement. When you get a job, your employer must pay a minimum of 9.5% of your salary into a super account at least every 3 months. If you do not have your own super account, most employers will give you one and they'll start paying you your super contributions into that new account. However, if throughout your working holiday you'll have multiple employers, that means you will have multiple super accounts. And when you want to claim your retirement fund back after leaving Australia, you'll have a hard time contacting each single one of them to get your money back. So my advice is to create your own super account, perhaps with your bank provider, so that you can easily access with your smartphone app. And each time you get a new job, you will always provide that one account so that all your funds will be in that single account and you can access it anytime after leaving Australia to claim your retirement fund back. Okay, this one is a big topic, but it's only for a small bunch of countries which happen to have a national health agreement with Australia. Medicare is Australia's universal health insurance scheme. It guarantees all Australians and some overseas visitors a wide range of health and hospital services at a low or no cost. Citizens from Belgium, Finland, Italy, Malta, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, the Republic of Ireland, Slovenia, Sweden, and the United Kingdom may be eligible for medical care under Medicare while they're here. That means all other nationalities will need to have their own health insurance. But if you are from one of the countries mentioned, all you have to do is to visit the official Australian government page titled Reciprocal Healthcare Agreements. In Australia, if you want to work in jobs involving serving alcohol, like being a bartender or a waiter, for example, you must hold an RSA certificate, and you must show it to your employer either when applying or on your first day on the job. The RSA certificate course can be purchased and completed online. They will email you the certificate if you pass. If you're planning to work in construction, which, by the way, it's really well paid in Australia compared to other backpacker jobs, you will need a certificate called a white card, for which you will also need to complete a small course online to obtain it. There are a few more certificates you might need depending on the job you choose, like there's one for food handling jobs, like if you're a kitchen assistant or a cook or anything like that. There's another certificate if you want to become a nanny, for example, but that would deserve a whole new video, so it's better if you just access the links that I will put down below on this video. Now, this is a very hot topic, driver's license. Well, I would say I highly recommend you to come to Australia with an international driver's license, because that will give you a lot of freedom not only to travel, but to get jobs in remote areas. If you are from a European country, part of the EU, the process will be much easier once you get here to transfer your driver's license into the Australian one. So that shouldn't be an issue at all. It's just some paperwork and some fees you have to pay, around $100 or so. But if you are from countries in South America or any other countries, you might have a bit more trouble. So my advice is for you to complete your international driver's license before you arrive in Australia. But having said that, and that's why this is in this video for the first weeks you are in Australia, you can still transfer whatever driver's license you have to an Australian one. It's just that it might not be that easy and might be difficult to do it in remote areas. Because in the case of many countries, Australia requires you to complete the theory and driving tests again, even if you have a driver's license from your home country. You might not have to do the classes, they don't ask you to do that in most cases, but you still have to pass the 2 tests. You can access the links that I have put down below in the description of this video to get more information on driver's license in Australia. The only reason this is not the first point on this list is just because it's not really something you have to sort out, not paperwork or anything, but it's definitely very important. When you arrive in Australia, just make sure you start mingling, making friends, exchange ideas. Try your best to learn English if you don't speak English or if you're not very confident. In order to come to Australia, we all have to pass the IELTS test, and you need 4.5 on your score. I think that's the minimum. But that doesn't mean you can speak English fluently, and I know that by experience with many people here. But please, please, please make sure you mingle with the right people that will challenge you, that will make you grow, that will show you different ways of life, different cultures. Most importantly, they will add something positive to your life. And that's one of the best things that you should take away from this experience. It's not all about making money, it's not all about just traveling around and not meeting people. No, that's exactly the opposite. You should live this as a life-changing experience. So go to parties, meet people, and just have fun in general, because you never know where people that you meet can take you in the future, and they can completely change your life forever.